But I suspect that a lot of people in this country would be delighted to pay more in taxes.
Some homeowners that we've talked with who've looked up their new property values online say they've been shocked by the increases.
I want it based on what my house would really sell for, not what the city thinks it could sell for.
Christine Taylor Butler fears she could be facing a tax bill of more than $9,300 this year. The county has valued her Hyde Park home at nearly $600,000. She says there's no way anyone would buy it at that price.
I think it's a fairness issue. I invite them to come and look at my bathrooms and my kitchen, and, I'm willing to negotiate, but I will be appealing. I am not worth $600,000.
The director of Jackson County Assessment says taxpayers should receive new property value notices in the mail by the end of the week. The county says taxpayers who are concerned about their values should contact the assessment office, and staffers will work with them.
I think this is an opportunity for the taxpayer to weigh in. And as long as you have adequate evidence to show us that we've done, your value is incorrect, it's our job to make sure values are as accurate as possible.
The informal review deadline is only about 2 weeks away, but property owners need to have the written notice from Jackson County to proceed. Property value hikes are likely to renew the debate over the wisdom of providing tax abatements to some wealthy developments. Jackson County says home values have increased by an average of nearly 9% in the last year.
But I suspect that a lot of people in this country would be delighted to pay more in taxes.
It's difficult for people to hear us say, yes, you're not paying what your property's worth.
You can't convince these folks that huge increases in the tax values of their homes is justified. On this block near the Guadalupe Center, one home has seen its value increase from $45,000 to more than $113,000.
They had no warning that the assessment was going to go as much as it has gone.
A more than $1,000 increase to their tax bill in just 1 year has many of the homeowners at the meeting convinced that government is trying to force them out.
These people cannot afford that. There's got to be some way that we can extend this or cancel, what's been done so far, from the state. We need to look at this in a different fashion, in a different way.
Homeowners are hopeful that an individual review of their property will result in a more realistic reappraisal of home values. The director of assessment told the group the entire west side is under review and that irregularities will be addressed.
It is not the intent to move people out. I mentioned we are reviewing some areas where we got a number of appeals.
The West Side has become a desirable neighborhood because of its location close to downtown and the crossroads. And as homes are rehabbed here, McCann Beatty says property has become more valuable.
Trying to figure out how we do this in a way that doesn't cause homeowners to lose sleep, and ultimately many of them believe they will lose their homes.
Another hurdle facing folks here on the west side is the language barrier. Many are Spanish-speaking only, making navigating the appeals process difficult for them.
But I suspect that a lot of people in this country would be delighted to pay more in taxes.
From a lot of you about your property taxes skyrocketing.
KCTV5 stands for you, and that's why we're spending an entire week investigating your complaints and hopefully share some advice that may help.
Yeah, tonight we begin with a look at people who open their assessments and have property tax whiplash. Here's investigative reporter Angie Rocono.
Taxes have doubled, even tripled in some cases, so this is a huge tax hike. This could never happen in St. Louis because protections are in place. But there's nothing preventing metro counties from saying your house is worth a whole lot more, and here's your new tax bill.
Oh, the big sticker shocker. Hi.
That's how this widow on a fixed income describes her new tax assessment.
I love two-story homes.
Sachi bought this adorable house in Brookside 50 years ago, before it was super trendy.
It's close to the plaza in Loose Park.
She gave us a tour and downplayed any compliments to her home.
This is the little room that without the closets, wires and the pipes and all that.
That's the last thing she needs right now. The county thinks her house is charming too, and raised taxes 15%.
If the way keeps going every year, I might not be able to live here, you know, and that'll be sad.
Some neighbors have it even worse.
Well, some say 30%, and then I heard somebody say double. Right, yeah. So I think they are going to appeal.
Saatchi plans to do the same.
So yeah, I'm very angry.
So will Sean Colby.
My friends who live in Brookside are paying, and they have double the square feet, are paying the exact same what this has been assessed at, which makes no sense.
Colby points out his rental property has foundation issues, but his tax bill jumped from less than $700 to more than $2,000.
So I opened it, and it was just, I was watching the Royals game, I almost fell out of my chair.
He's trying to figure out what to do next.
We have a renter in there for a long time with an established contract and so forth, so I can't break the contract. Don't want to really raise the rent on the guy.
Overall, he questions the quality of this county assessment.
I just think it's kind of arrogant that they came through a satellite or through a computer program and didn't really look at the property and stuff, just made a general assessment. And I don't know, I'm kind of flabbergasted, you know, about it.
As we began to dig, we were flabbergasted too, so that's why we're reporting on property taxes all week long, and we'd love to hear from you. So tell us about your property tax bill. Tomorrow we're going to switch gears a bit, and you're going to meet the lucky homeowners, the people who are getting fantastic deals on their property taxes. Angie Racono, KCTV5 News.
But I suspect that a lot of people in this country would be delighted to pay more in taxes.
Digging into your complaints about property taxes. They have skyrocketed for some local homeowners. KCTV5 stands for you. We sent investigative reporter Angie Racono to find the biggest hikes, but then she came back with something completely different. She also found some very lucky homeowners.
We've heard from homeowners who are paying double and even triple in property taxes. I saw one bill that jumped 473%. Tonight, meet the people who aren't saying anything because they're getting quite the steal.
Taxes are way up.
I think it's crazy. It's doubled in price.
Homeowners are speaking out.
Oh, the big sticker shocker.
But we uncovered truly lucky homeowners and landlords who have no reason to complain. They're getting one heck of a deal. Take this house that recently sold for $785,000. The county has a different opinion. They pegged the fair market value at around $255,000. And the year before that, the value was just around $70,000. Years ago, this triplex sold for more than $1 million. It was actually $1.2 million. Here's a peek inside and the view. No tax complaints here because the county says the value is around $265,000. That's quite a deal. And that's the story all over Jackson County. Some property owners are breathing a sigh of relief, but others are in crisis.
What are they going to do? They're going to lose their homes.
None of this makes sense.
Realtor Curtis J. points out many homeowners never dreamed taxes could skyrocket so fast. True market values were ignored for years. And then the county played catch up overnight in some cases.
So because they failed for decades to increase property taxes, people should not be penalized because the county didn't do a good job on their end.
Take this house. For the past 2 years, the county said the value was $50,000. Open the letter, it's now $214,000. So the taxes quadrupled.
Here's another fun fact. This house is valued almost at the same rate as that $1.2 million triplex. In fact, they're neighbors. It's all on the same street.
Taxes should be capped. The county and the city, any government agency, should not be allowed to increase taxes 200%, 300%, all of a sudden overnight. It is unfair. It is a surprise for property owners. A lot of people are living paycheck to paycheck.
Jay says the urban core and the west side were nailed. He thinks homeowners can make a good argument if they choose to fight.
So you're trying to say that my value increased by 250%, but yet I've done nothing to my property. I've done no addition to the property. There's no updating that was done to the property, and yet you're still claiming that it increased by 200%? That in itself doesn't make any sense.
Tomorrow night, we bring your concerns straight to the top.
I was a little shocked in some cases as to the increases that they have, but I am bound by statute.
How was this assessment done, and how can you fight back? Angie Racono, KCTV5 News.
But I suspect that a lot of people in this country would be delighted to pay more in taxes.
This week, we've been reporting on shocking property tax bills. We've heard of bills doubling, tripling, and even one that jumped more than 400%. KCTV5 stands for you, and tonight we're getting answers about how this assessment was done. Here's investigative reporter Angie Racono.
Taxes are important. It pays for schools, it pays for libraries. So we all need to pay our fair share. But some homeowners are getting nailed, and they're questioning how the county calculated who owes what.
Do you think it's fair for taxes to double or even triple on a house?
I don't know that it's about fair. My job is determined by state statute. The state statute says that I am to assign market value to a property, and that's what we did.
Meet Gail Beatty, the director of Jackson County Assessment. She's new to this position, but has extensive experience in real estate and appraisals.
I don't want anyone to lose their property over this.
Are you hearing that?
I think that is what people say because they want to pull on your heartstrings.
Beatty admits even she's stunned by what she's hearing from homeowners.
I was a little shocked in some cases as to the increases that they have, but I am bound by statute.
Beatty somewhat expected this, saying property values in our area have increased 12.9% in the past 2 years since the last assessment. So the hikes for a lot of homeowners are hefty.
There was about 30% who went up over the 15%.
Has it ever been that high, any previous?
I have no idea.
Don't you think you should know?
I was not the assessor at that time, and there is not an easy button that you can push to go see what the increases were or what the administration may have done differently. There is no historical way of tracking that.
But talk to any realtor, they know what's been going on.
When values were increasing in the urban core, they were still claiming that properties were $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 in value, even though they had been sold for $300,000. So because they failed for decades to increase property taxes, people should not be penalized because the county didn't do a good job on their end.
The emails pouring in from senior citizens and young families are sobering. Many fear they will lose their homes.
I am not happy that this happened, but I do feel like I did what the statute says I have to do.
This is a mom. She says her taxes have gone up 473%. I have no idea what we'll do. I'm a teacher and my husband works for a union. We are good, hardworking people with 2 kids, but we do not have several $100 extra a month to pay for this increase. And they say they think they may lose their home.
So when I asked her, did her taxes actually go up that percentage? Because
she showed me it did.
Okay.
Yeah, it did.
So then is her value where it should be? Does she believe that her home does she believe she can sell her home for that value?
The county reached what they called a correlated value on each property. They grouped neighborhoods together, reviewed recent sales, and then they considered characteristics of your home. They use computer programs to crunch that information. But odds are no one looked at your house in person. They simply used satellite photos, which has sparked criticism.
Do you think it should be like St. Louis, that if you're going to increase it more than 15%, somebody should go out, knock on the door, and take a good look?
While that sounds in the world a perfect solution, we have over almost 300,000 parcels in our county. We would have to have probably 1,000 appraisers to do that, which then gets transferred to our taxpayers as well.
Well, how many people did you have going out and checking?
We've got about 15 appraisers total.
15 appraisers who were boots on the ground.
Beatty says the number of people calling and planning to fight their assessments could reach a new high. It's actually something she encourages.
We are here to help you. Just give us the opportunity to do that.
Tomorrow, grab your notebook because we're going to go step by step and show you how to fight your assessment, the pictures you need to take, and the information you need to gather. The deadline is quickly approaching if you want to do that for an informal assessment. It's actually Monday. Angie Racono, KCTV5 News.
But I suspect that a lot of people in this country would be delighted to pay more in taxes.
Property tax bills have jumped across Jackson County. Today, we heard from a viewer whose bill jumped 530%. That's in 1 year. Homeowners say it is ridiculous and the county got values wrong. So how do you fight back? Here's investigative reporter Angie Racono.
Hi there. Are you ready for some help?
Meet Bunny Coker. She's 77 years old.
So let's go in and let's get started.
The county says the value of her home doubled from about $24,000 to more than $58,000. And that means taxes jumped from $472 to $1,084.
What did you think when you opened your tax bill?
I nearly fainted. I mean, my God, how am I going to pay this?
She lives on Social Security, and that's $1,068 every month.
If I have to start paying that every year with my homeowners, there's no way.
She's worked 3 jobs at a time to make ends meet. That was before she retired.
October 1966, when you bought the house.
We asked realtor Curtis J. to help evaluate her home. Follow along, and you can do the same if you want to fight your bill. Step 1, know your value. Check recent sales in your neighborhood. You can also use online search engines like Redfin.com. Check current listings too. You can do that on any real estate database. And it may be worth it to hire your own appraiser.
So we've got a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom home at about 912 square feet that sold for $36,500.
Curtis J. noticed values are all over the place in this neighborhood.
In a larger home, 4 bedrooms, 1 bath, and that sold for $76,000.
Oh my goodness.
And Bunny points out she tried to sell her home years ago and couldn't. Step 2, take a critical look at your house and property.
Right.
Oh my gosh, do you have a pink tub?
That has been in here since the house was built.
You need to document it, and that means pictures and maybe some estimates. The county used a computer program and satellite photos to crunch the value. So they never considered what was going on inside Bunny's house when they more than doubled her taxes.
Let's show the bathroom.
We took pictures of the outdated bathroom and the kitchen that needs updating.
So you have a connection on the top of your breaker box?
The electrical wiring is old. Some switches don't work. There's no central air, and there's no basement like some other homes.
You're looking at it. This is it.
The windows are original, and the sewer backs up. Step 3, present it to the county. Make a fair list. Right now, it's an informal process. You can call, but your best bet is to email everything. The deadline is Monday, June 24th, so you need to move fast.
I mean, look at her countertop is popping up here.
Yeah, we helped Lois do that. We found 15 key points that could help lower her value, including the crime level in her neighborhood and the fact that a bullet shattered her window. If you don't like the county's response, you can go before the Board of Equalization. You'll need all of that information we talked about. And then if you don't like that response, you can take it to the state level.
I price your house actually in the low 40s.
Curtis J. suggests a fair tax value of $38,000. Bunny plans to send the comps, the pictures we took, and the list of information to the county. Step 4, tax relief.
Maybe they'll let me pay that in 2 payments.
Here's what else Bunny could do. Apply for tax relief. That doesn't apply to everyone, but seniors and those with disabilities can spread out payments. It's called the Quad Payment Program. And then there is the Missouri Property Tax Credit. You can go back and file for previous years.
You file an additional schedule onto your Missouri return and say, I paid property taxes of X number of dollars and I make under $30,000 a year. And then they refund a portion of your property tax credit back.
Step 5, contact the county. This is the big picture part. Don't forget about your county representatives, and at the top is County Executive Frank White. Let them know if you feel doubling and tripling taxes in 1 year is okay. Right now it is. There's talk among people that things may need to change. Even the county assessor admitted that to us.
I am not happy that this happened, but I do feel like I did what the statute says I have to do.
Bunny certainly agrees.
It's just a big hike to me, and I don't think it's fair.
All of this information is online. Just head to our website, kctv5.com. Tomorrow night, our investigation continues.
It's a fail. It should be a fail. It should be an all-out recall and start over with the correct formulas.
Angie Racono, KCTV5 News.
But I suspect that a lot of people in this country would be delighted to pay more in taxes.
Tonight, new developments in our week-long investigation into Jackson County property tax assessments. Some say those assessments are fundamentally flawed and unfair. And one property investor says what he uncovered is shocking. Here's investigative reporter Angie Racono.
When you realized all of this, were you shocked?
I realized that the whole process was fundamentally flawed.
Slavik Pech is a real estate investor. He was stunned when this empty lot with a huge pile of mulch skyrocketed in value. Last year, it was $4,923. Now it's $44,850.
Where is the methodology behind that?
Slavik says it's crazy. A virtually identical lot to the left sold for $6,500 just a few months ago. So the county is off.
You feel like you can fight this. You know how to fight this.
Yes, but I know of plenty of neighbors who asked me for help who don't have the resources, don't have the comparables.
Slavik also owns the land where you see the garage and parking lot. A different Jackson County assessor was involved, and he decided the land value isn't $44,850, just $4,140. So it's a tenth of the value.
It's a fail. It should be a fail. It should be an all-out recall and start over with the correct formulas.
Slavik says this is the fundamental flaw. Appraisers working together out of the Jackson County Assessor's Office are not on the same page at all. But why? And how can this happen?
I would almost call it sinister. What is going on here with the land values?
Well, there are 15 Jackson County appraisers. At least one of them went nuts with land values, increasing them tenfold. Here's what happens when a sky-high appraiser crosses paths with another appraiser. On the same street, lots were valued in the 40s. The other valued it in the 4s. It plays out like this. Slavik owns 3 adjacent lots. Here are the land values.
It's kind of like a product recall. With a product recall, you only need like a couple of people getting hurt before all examples of that product get pulled off the market so they can fix whatever is causing people harm.
Skip over a few streets to Linwood Boulevard, and it's the same mess. Here we go. These are residential market values. $24,000, $35,000, $44,000, and $28,000. All pretty consistent. Now head over to commercial zoning. Probably a different appraiser. This one has similar square footage to that $24,000 property, but it's the commercial deal. So chop the value to $6,000. And the biggest property on the whole block? It's only $13,000. You've got to wonder what the owner next door thinks. It's a smaller lot, but it's residential. Want to guess the value? Try $25,000. Not only is this super unfair, it's completely backwards. If anything, commercial lots should be higher, but they aren't. They are lower, which means investors and speculators are getting a heck of a deal, and low-income homeowners are getting nailed.
So we checked 5 years of assessment data, and we realized just in this one block area, the commercial values doubled. But the residential values went up 6 and even 7 times what they were the previous year.
Here's why everyone should care. This isn't just about vacant lots. That sky-high residential appraiser nailed the land under low-income homeowners too. So that's why property values are jumping all over this neighborhood. It isn't about the house. It's all about the land.
We can't intentionally harm people when we know of the flaws in the system, when we know that these valuations are incorrect. We can't expect every consumer to say, oh, I'm sorry, I'm being harmed. What do I do about it? Oh, I need to basically do a recall here on my own. Then the county is making the mistake.
I'm not calling it sneaky, but if you look at your bill, you're not going to see this breakdown in information. You'll need to hunt for it online and see what your house is worth, and then you can check out the land value. Sean Colby's property value almost tripled, so he contacted KCTV5. We did a report on him on Monday. Turns out his new property value has nothing to do with his house. Check this out. His land was worth $19,000 last year. This year, it's worth $144,000. 144. Head to our website and I'll show you how to figure out if a sky-high appraiser quietly adjusted your land value. Once again, that information is not in the notice that was mailed to you. Angie Racono, KCTV5 News.
But I suspect that a lot of people in this country would be delighted to pay more in taxes.
And now this bit of news out of Jackson County, Missouri, which is Kansas City, Missouri. Deadline for property tax appeals draws protesters to Jackson County legislature meeting. After Jackson County, which is nothing but Democrats, along with the city of Kansas City, Missouri, on city council and the new mayor, and the former mayor, were both Democratic communist liberals. And I'm not making that up. Let's have a look at the article. And there is Crystal Williams, a Jackson County legislator, along with all the other goofball Democrats that sit on the Jackson County Board of Legislatures, along with the city of Kansas City, Missouri, City Hall, which is nothing but a bunch of Democrats that want to take your money any way they can, like the typical communist, Marxist, socialist that they are. That's all they know how to do is raise taxes. They're incompetent and inept. Dozens of homeowners at the Jackson County Legislature on Monday upset about huge increases in their property assessments. Homeowners got on buses at the Guadalupe Center for a trip to the legislature meeting in Independence to share their frustrations. On Monitor Place, one home has seen its value increase from $45,000 to more than $113,000. That added more than $1,000 a year to the tax bill in just 1 year. These homeowners are hopeful that an individual review of their property will result in a more realistic appraisal of home values. I think the legislature has already heard from quite a few people from Jackson County, so I think they've known of this situation, said Gloria Oritz Fisher, executive director of the West Side Housing Organization, but it's especially harsh on the West Side. The West Side has become a desirable neighborhood because of its location close to downtown Kansas City, Missouri, and the crossroads which are in Kansas City, Missouri. And as homes are rehabbed, property has become more valuable. I'm going to redo this again here because I want you to think about this. And as homes are rehabbed, remodeled is what it means, rehab, remodeled, property has become more valuable. So you dump $20, $30, $40, maybe even $60,000 into this home to remodel it so it looks nice with the rest of the neighborhood, and the county decides it's going to come along. That's the county Democratic, liberal, communist, socialist, Marxist, terrorist, come along and decide, being you've got that much money to spend on your home and remodel it after buying it, they'd like some money too. And they do that by raising your property taxes. When we're not talking about a few dollars here. We'll get into that later in the video. Democrats, Democratic liberals, the socialist, communist, Marxist always got their hands out wanting more of your money. But those who haven't made updates because they don't have the money to remodel their house aren't convinced they could sell for the values the county has determined. Another hurdle facing the West Side is the language barrier. Many are Spanish-speaking only, and property notices are in English, making them difficult for some to understand how to navigate the appeals process. Now, I'm going to elaborate on that. Another hurdle facing folks on the West Side is the language barrier. Many are Spanish-speaking, and property notices are in English, making them difficult for some to understand comprehend how to navigate the appeals process. That's because Kansas City, Missouri, the former mayor, Mayor Sly James, who's no longer mayor, he ran out his term last month after 2 terms or 3 terms, and now we have a new mayor who's not much better than the old mayor. But Mayor Sly James designated Kansas City, Missouri, which sits in Jackson County, Missouri, in Kansas City, a sanctuary city, more or less. And you can find him speaking about that up at the airport, that all people are welcome. And this is the problem you have when you don't demand that people follow the guidelines to enter the United States. That you have to learn English. You have to know the laws of the United States and abide by the laws. They've turned the United States into a free-for-all, just whatever. It used to be when you came to the United States, you had to learn English, speak English, read English, and know the laws and adapt to our country's way of doing things. As we seen in Denver with the accident with the illegal alien from Cuba who could not read, write, or speak English and passed a road sign that said runaway truck ramp. Therefore, he went into Denver with his 18-wheeler and ran over 5 or 6 cars sitting still and killed all the people in Denver. This is what happens when you have sanctuary cities.
But I suspect that a lot of people in this country would be delighted to pay more in taxes.
There are ICE raids set to start, estimates of some 2,000 people or so who will be targeted. Is this appropriate?
No, it's not. It is absolutely not appropriate.
But specifically on this point, the 2,000 that are supposed to be targeted haven't shown up for court dates. Essentially, they're not following the asylum process, the legal standards when they're here. So should they be prosecuted? Should they be deported?
I don't like this deportation thing at all, and I think Trump uses this as a beginning to do worse things to states. But I suspect that a lot of people in this country would be delighted to pay more in taxes.
Recently, Bernie Sanders talked with Anderson Cooper and said that Americans will be delighted to pay more in taxes. Is that true?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely. We're taxed enough and the money's not spent, and Congress is not doing their job to take care of the money that we send them.
Because that means more out of my pocket, my monthly income, what I bring home to my family.
No, I don't want to pay more taxes. We pay enough taxes. Use it properly.
They messed up the health care we had when Obama put Obamacare in. Bernie Sanders has never worked a day in his life, been here in this country doing what he's supposed to do in the Senate, and he hadn't done anything in his whole time there.
There doesn't need to be any more taxes. Just, as my wife said, rearrange how it's used. Use the taxes for better purpose.
You got to pay for what you want, pay for your own education, work hard to get it. If it's free, people might not take it as serious.
Is it even really free, like free healthcare and free education, if they're raising taxes anyway?
No.
No.
Nope. It would be free to those that aren't paying taxes.
Senator Sanders, you call yourself a democratic socialist. How can any kind of socialist win a general election in the United States?
Well, we're going to win because first we're going to explain what democratic socialism is. And what democratic socialism is about is saying, I want to tax you. I want to have you. I will take these right off your back and then your cat too. I want to tax you. I want to smack you. Everyone will pay a little more because they have to. Let's begin by understanding that democratic socialism is immoral and wrong because we are going to have the tax on all of our people, everyone, in order to pay for my program. I believe that we need to take unbelievable sums of money from every family in this country. I want to tax you. I want to have you. I will take these right off your back and then your cat too. I want to tax you. I want to smack you. Everyone will pay a little more because they have to. And let me also tell you that democratic socialism is about financial slavery. My view is that we should be putting a tax on you as a baby. My policies are going to cost us millions, billions, and trillions. We're going to be leaving massive debt for our children I will take these right off your back and then you're back to. I want to tax you. I want to tax you. Everyone will pay a little more before they have to. I want to tax you. But I suspect that a lot of people in this country would be delighted to pay more in taxes.
I suspect that a lot of people in this country would be delighted to pay more in taxes. But I suspect that a lot of people in this country would be delighted to pay more in taxes.